As we head into the end of 2024, is the San Diego real estate market weakening or is it tightening? That is the question we're going to answer today. We're going to jump into 3 different maps and show you where we've been in the past and where we are going to give us some insight into where we might be in 2025. And as always, if you guys are thinking about making a move, you got some questions and you want to pick our brain, I'm Chris Erickson and we got a real estate crew right here in San Diego. So feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is in the first description right below. We got your back when making the move here in San Diego. Let's jump into it. So the number one thing we're going to take a look at is housing sale to list price. It's going to give us a good indication. Are homes selling for well above list price? Are homes selling for well below list price? Now here is a whole map of all of the United States. We're going to hop into San Diego here in a sec. But just for a little context, and so that 1.0 number just means we're selling right at list price, while a sale to list price ratio closer to 95 doesn't necessarily mean local home prices are falling. It does likely signal a softer market compared to other markets with a ratio closer to 100.5. So where does San Diego rank? I'm just going to give you some insight into the top 10. We did not make the top 10. But some of these are numbers we have seen in the past. When we peaked out in 2022, we were closer to this 1.06 mark. Now, when we go to the lower markets, you can see there's a lot of Florida in here, but these are all in that 95 to 96 range. Now, as we jump into San Diego here, let me bring that up. Let's zoom us in a little bit. We could see back all the way to 2018 where we're about, these are like percentages too. So 1.0 is going to be 100% of list to sale price, 98%. Right now, September 2024 is the newest data that just came out. We're sitting at 99% of list price. Now you can see back in 2021 when things were a little bit different, we did see over 100% of list price, meaning homes were getting multiple offers. So it was pushing up the home prices above list price because competition drives up that price. Now we're sitting real close to that 100%. So not necessarily homes aren't going where we saw those Florida numbers in the 95% range in that softer market, but it is definitely softer than a few years ago. And we'll see it soften usually towards the end of the year anyways, but since we're comparing Septembers to Septembers in here, it's a good indication of where we are compared to years past. Now, even though we were there in September 2022, this is when interest rates did jump from super low rates to relatively high rates really quickly. And so the latter part of that year, home sales did decline in price a little bit. There's less competition. A lot of buyers went to the sidelines. Well, what does this mean for buyers and sellers going into 2025? Now, obviously, the higher this number is for sellers, the more money for your home you're getting, the lower it is, the vice versa of that. So we're seeing a little bit of softening in this part of the market. Now, when we go into the spring selling season here in San Diego, when we do see potentially more buyers coming out, if we see more homes on the market that even out the more buyers, it's going to sit right around this level. If we see a lot more homes come on the market and buyers are still sitting on the sideline, let's say interest rates are elevated above that 7% range, then we are going to see this number drop. Now, on the other side of that, if we do see not too many homes come on the market, like I'll show you inventory levels here in a sec, but if we see it go where it was a few years ago, super low, and interest rates drop and a bunch of buyers come into the market, then this number is going to rise again. I'm not going to say it's going to get up to that 106% range that we did see in years past, but it could potentially creep up above 100. More competition, more buyers out there, you're going to see this number jump up a little bit. Now for buyers, there's going to be 2 things that come into play. One being interest rates. If we see that number go down towards that 6% range like we did a few months back, then we could see more buyers come in the market like we did back then. If it goes below that, expect a lot more buyers out there. So as buyers, more competition, potentially higher prices. The second thing is going to be number of homes on the market, which we're going to bring up here in a sec. If we see a lot more homes coming on, that's going to give you more options. It's going to spread out the buyer pool a little bit more, and it's going to potentially put a downward pressure on prices a little bit. Now we're jumping into the active housing inventory, the number of homes on the market for sale compared to pre-pandemic levels. So 2019 compared to where we are today. Give you a little bit of insight. Some are super low compared to 2019, down 74%, where some places in Florida are up almost 70%. Phoenix is up 18%. Austin is up 40% from where they were in 2019, which we always consider like a normalized market. Most of the Midwest, Northeast, and West Coast remain tight with active inventory well below pre-pandemic levels. Here are the top 10. You can see Connecticut right here at 74% and the top 10 rounding out about 61%, where these guys down here are where you have a ton more inventory, almost twice as much inventory in Huntsville, Alabama. You can see some more Floridas on there. But as we jump into San Diego, we are definitely not in the top 10, but we are down 26.7% compared to 2019. And I'm going to say that's a good thing, because where we have been in the past years, it was well below that. Now, here's that spike in 2022 when we did see the market kind of slow down significantly. But as we go to other years prior, starting in 2020 compared to 2019, you can see just north of 3,800. 2021 coming in at the low point on this chart of just over 2,500. Last year, not much better, 2,800. This year, we're sitting at 4,650 homes that were on the market in October of 2024. So compare that to 2019, where I had 6,300. We're not quite there, but we are trending in the right direction. Now, this is definitely good news for buyers as we're seeing more homes come on the market, definitely more choices. It spreads out the competition a bit, and it definitely puts a little bit of downward pressure on prices. If you got a ton more homes, you have the same amount of buyers, there's more options. Some homes sit a little bit longer. So it's really good for buyers out there. It's a totally different market than we had a few years back when it was homes coming on Thursday. They're doing showings through the weekends, offers due Monday. You're looking at 10, 15, 20 offers. Right now, even these past few months, as we're working with buyers and sellers, we're seeing buyers are having a little bit more time. We're seeing less competition on homes out there. So, you know, sometimes there's no offers on the homes. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 offers on the home. But even in those circumstances, and every home's different. Every situation is going to be a little bit different. But in general, a lot of these homes are going for near ask, like we said, the 99%, maybe a little bit below, maybe a little bit above if you do have a little competition. But it's not the frenzy that we did see in the past. So it's definitely good news for buyers. Now, for sellers, expect a little bit longer market times as homes have been sitting a little longer. We just made a recent video, and the current number of homes, the current days on market for homes, median is right around 30. When we were at the bottom in the frenzy of the market in 2022, in kind of the mid months, April, May of 2022, it got down all the way down to like 8 days. And that's the crazy time. So you put your house on the market, it's going to sell that first weekend. It's a little bit different story now. It's a little bit different strategy. It's a little bit different mindset as you're going through that. You know, sometimes they can sell on that first weekend. As we're keeping an eye on the market, we're seeing homes come on. We're seeing homes go off that first weekend if they're well priced, if they're dialed in. It's just a matter of having a different mindset than put my home on the market. I'm going to get, you know, tons of showings all through the weekend. But I think we will see a little bit of that pick back up in the new year. Once again, we're kind of in the end of the year. There's not a ton of people out there. There's not a ton of sellers out there. There's not a ton of buyers out there. There's still transactions. There's still sales happening every single day. But a lot of people are taking time off as we're going into the holidays, as we just had Thanksgiving, as we're going towards New Year's. Now, once we get into New Year's, everybody's made the decisions, whether you be sellers or buyers, what we're doing this year, what are the plans. So it's going to change, but I don't see us really going back to that frenzied market unless interest rates did drop to closer to where they were before, but nobody's really expecting that. I think more buyers hop in at towards that 6%. I think more sellers kind of start getting into, if they've been waiting for a few years and they have that super low interest rate, they're like, now it's finally time to move, maybe in that 5.5% range. So there's a little discrepancy there too when buyers come in the market and then when more sellers come in the market. But I think 2025 will be a little bit more of a normalized year than years past. Now we're in the 1-year change in home prices between October last year and October this year. And by the way, the new numbers are coming out in the next few days here. So we're going to make a full video on what happened in November, what happened in San Diego County throughout the real estate market. How does that compare? Because the most recent numbers we have right now are October, but we'll dive into all that, give you some insight, and I'll let you know exactly what happened here in November. But as we're going through here, you can see some places are up, some places are down. Nothing is too far up, nothing is too far down. Phoenix right even, New Orleans down a little bit, Hartford at 7%, San Jose at 7.1%. But some of these are interesting too, because we'll show you here in a sec where San Diego is, but Some are, yeah, San Jose's up 7.1%, but they're down off their peak from a few years ago, where San Diego's up off its peak from a few years ago. So here are the top 10. You can see Syracuse at nearly 10% up. There's that Hartford at 7%, where you have some of those down trends is in a lot of Florida, a little bit of Texas. So where does San Diego stand in all of that? As we go into here, let us see. Let me zoom us in real quick. So San Diego, year over year change, we are 3.9% above October of 2023. So we're up a little bit, 4%, pretty standard here in San Diego, 4 or 5% a year. That's not where we were a few years ago, which was a lot more. The shift since the local peak in 2022 is 3.5%. So we peaked out, came back down a little bit. Now we've kind of been on that sideways trajectory, but we are still up a little bit above that. As you can look in the 5-year change from where we were 5 years ago, we're up almost 60%. So that 2019 till now. So even in a weakening market right here in San Diego, where we're seeing more inventory, more homes coming on the market, we are seeing homes sit a bit longer on the market. We're seeing less competition out there, which is pushing that price down a little bit. They're still seeing home price growth year over year, but expectations are we shall continue into this pattern into the new year. But there's a lot of wild cards out there. That's why it's so important to stay tuned on what's happening with the market. That's why we're dropping new videos here every single week, let you guys know what's happening in the San Diego real estate market. As always, if you want to start that conversation, you got to reach out, call, text, or email right down below. Feel free to reach out because we got your back when making the move here in San Diego.